Hey there, everybody. You're watching another 100 Bible Stories video, and we're talking today about story number 9, the Tower of Babel, which comes from Genesis 11. And the story of the Tower of Babel is actually kind of a short story, but it's one of those short stories that tells us a lot about who human beings are as well as who God is, and really how God wants that interaction to go. How God wants us to interact with Him, and how God wants us to see ourselves, as well as how He wants us to see Him. And the story of the Tower of Babel is really a story about God being God and how we try to steal that from Him sometimes. And so you have this story where the people of the Tower of Babel say, "Hey, we want to build this tower. We want to build this tower in order to show off how great we are. We want to build this tower that is going to reach all the way up to God, and we're going to be on the same level as God." Which, if you think about it, that sounds kind of familiar. It sounds sort of like what Eve was tempted with when you hear the serpent saying, "Well, don't you want to be like God? Don't you want to know the know good and evil?" And it's that same thing that's happening where there the serpent is tempting Eve to want to be God and want to be like God and want to be on the same plane as God. And here the same thing is happening. Satan is tempting the people that are going to build this tower into thinking that they are going to be like God. Of course, that's impossible because God is God and we are who we are. We're just human beings. And so it's hilarious that God in this story has to come down in order to inspect the work of the Tower of Babel. That they're building this tower, they feel so proud of themselves, and yet God is like, "Oh, hey, what's that little dot down there? I think they're doing something. Let's go down there and check out what they're doing." And so you have this sense that God is like, "Oh, that's cute that you guys are building this tower that you think is going to be on the same level as me. It's kind of adorable." But not really, because it's sinful. And so, what God does is He says, "This is going to be bad. This is going to end up being terrible for these people because what they're going to do is they're going to continue to strive to be like me, and that's not what I created human beings to do." They shouldn't try to be like God. When He says there's no end to the things that they will be able to do, it's not saying, "Hey, I'm worried that these people will actually be able to build a tower to me." He's saying there's going to be no end of this fruitless labor that people are going to get into in order to make themselves gods. And that's what we see all around us today is you see people working in order to try to be their own gods, and they work and they work and they work and they work and they try to be their own gods, and there's no end to it until eventually they just die, and they fall just absolutely exhausted from all of their work that they've done. And so what God does in order to save these people from themselves is that He comes in and He confuses their languages, and that's where we get our different languages. He says, "I am going to split up the languages." And so this is a little bit of a story, not only of something kind of theological, something that tells us about who God is, but it's also something that tells us about our world and how our world is put together. And he's confusing their languages to save them from themselves and saying, "Hey, just stop this project. Stop doing this because you're just going to be doing this for yourself. You're not going to be doing it in the way that I created you, which is to do things for me." And that's really what God has created us to do. He has created us to do all sorts of things, but for Him. And so, no matter what you do, if you're a banker, if you're a student, if you are a professor, if you are a policeman, if you are a garbage collector, if you are anything else in the world, God wants you to be doing that for Him, in order to bring Him glory, in order to serve your neighbors, which is what He wants you to do. And so that makes sense that the languages are confused, and then the time when God reverses that confusion of the languages is when Pentecost comes in the book of Acts. And we see this all reversed. And he says, okay, now that you have Jesus, now that you have the forgiveness of sins, now that you are invited into being a part of my kingdom, I'm going to reverse this, and I'm going to bring everybody's languages together. And that's when we really see God saying, hey, now you get that you're doing this for me. And that's what we should get as Christians. We should get, okay, whatever I'm doing, whether that's being a student, whether that's working for somebody, whether that's working for myself, that what I'm doing is I'm really serving God and I'm serving my neighbor. And so, if you're kind of taking this for credit, if you are doing this for confirmation, I have two more questions for you. Question number one: why did the people want to build a tower? So, go ahead and answer that. That's question number one. Question number two: why does God want us to do things? And so, why do the people build a tower? And why does God want us to do things? Why does God give us the jobs that we have and the vocations that we have? And why does he want us to do things? Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. Bye.